So I'm comparing laws that have been influenced by a Christian heritage to laws that are influenced by Islamic heritage. And I'm saying that laws that are laws. I'm sorry. Islam brought slavery. Do you know that?
Okay, you're going to tell me that.
Are you saying
Muslims sold slaves?
Muhammad was a slave trader?
Muhammad was a slave trader.
He was.
Well, can you tell me where is that written?
No, I'm going to come and debate you later. I'm going to come and debate you later.
Can I call a friend? This is
can
like
we pull up the hadith where Muhammad trades in slaves?
50-50?
So I'm going to show you where Muhammad is a slave trader.
A slave trader?
Yes.
So let's talk about...
Would you condemn a slave trader?
In these days, I would consider.
But you wouldn't condemn Muhammad?
I will not condemn Muhammad.
Is Muhammad an example to you today?
Yes, he is.
So should you follow Muhammad's example?
I will not follow that example.
You will not follow that example?
I'm not a slave trader.
And that's because you're a better man than Muhammad?
No, I'm not a better man.
You clearly are.
Peace be upon him, is my teacher.
You clearly are. I'm going to debate you later.
Yeah, there are slaves in the Bible. Look what Lot's daughters did to him.
Let's look at Jesus. He's my example.
Okay.
He lived at a time.
He's a wonderful prophet.
Exactly. Did he own slaves?
Did he? No, he did not own slaves.
No, he did not own slaves. Now, who is better? One who owns a slave or one who doesn't own slaves?
Did he condone slaves?
Who is better?
Who is better? One who owns slaves or one who does not own slaves?
I look at them both the same.
So you think...
I look at Jesus and Muhammad on the same level.
Okay. Now, I want to show you that I'm not making it up about your prophet being a slave trader. Right?
I am a slave to God.
Let's focus, because these guys are just going to be interrupting continuously. But I will come and debate both of them in a second, right? So there came a slave and pledged allegiance to Allah's apostle. On migration, he did not know that he was a slave. Then there came his master and demanded him back, whereupon Allah's apostle said, "Sell him to me," and he bought him for 2 black slaves. And he did not afterwards take allegiance from anyone until he had asked him whether he was a slave. So Muhammad was a slave trader.
Slavery in 7th century Arabia was not something Islam invented. It had long been part of the economic, social, and cultural fabric of the region, just as it was in Rome, Byzantium, and Persia. Slaves were treated as commodities, bought, sold, inherited, and even given as gifts. When Muhammad appeared, he did not abolish this system. Instead, he lived within it and directly participated in the practice of trading slaves. Islam's own primary sources make this very clear. In Sahih Muslim Hadith 1602, it is explicitly stated that Muhammad exchanged 1 slave for 2 black slaves. This record shows not only ownership but also the act of slave trading under Muhammad's direction. Other respected collections, such as Sahih al-Bukhari and the early Surah literature, Ibn Ishaq, Ibn Hisham, note that after battles, captives were often enslaved, some sold on the market, others kept within Muslim households. Figures such as Bilal ibn Rabah, Zayd ibn Haritha, Safiya bint Huyay, and Maria al-Qibtiyya stand as concrete examples of individuals Muhammad held as personal slaves. Here we must distinguish between a slave owner and a slave trader. An owner merely keeps slaves for household or personal use. A trader actively buys and sells them as commodities. Muhammad fits both descriptions. He owned slaves, but he also engaged in exchange and transactions, as recorded in the Hadith. This means he was not only a slave owner, but also functioned as a slave trader. The moral and theological consequences of this reality are significant. Islam has often been presented as a religion that came to end slavery, but history shows otherwise. The system was not abolished. It was institutionalized and regulated under Islamic law. Classical fiqh even lays out detailed rulings on how slaves were to be treated, inherited, or sold. The practice only disappeared in the Muslim world in the 19th and 20th centuries, largely under Western pressure. When compared with Jesus, the contrast is stark. The Gospels never portrayed Jesus as owning or trading slaves. His message was one of freedom, release from bondage, and equality before God. In apologetic discourse, this highlights a sharp moral distinction. Christ never held slaves, while Muhammad actively participated in both ownership and trade.
Can we pull up the one where we sell women and children for weapons and products?
In the Bible. So can we just put that?
So hold on one second.
Show me where that's in
Hold
the
on one second.
Was that in the Quran?
Right, you come to Speaker's Corner.
I asked you a question. What's that in the Quran?
No, that was a hadith from
Thank you very
Sahih
much.
al-Bukhari.
Okay, thank you.
So you want it from the Quran? But so do you not believe in the hadiths?
I'm a Muslim.
Do you believe in the hadiths?
I believe in some of the hadiths. There's some.
What about the Sahih hadiths?
Some hadiths are.
What about Sahih
valid.
hadiths?
I've not heard the term Sahih hadith.
Sahih means reliable, trustworthy. Do you believe in those?
It depends on who says that.
What about Sahih al-Bukhari? What about Bukhari?
Yeah.
Bukhari's
No explanation.
Do you accept that?
Let's get to where you're
Stop
going.
it.
Wait, what about that Muslim? What about Sahih Muslim and Sahih al-Bukhari?
I don't know what you're talking about,
Right.
so I'm going to prove ignorance.
Okay.
So you have.
That's
you
fine.
have-
Pleading ignorance is
You're,
fine.
you're talking to me.
Yep.
You have a predetermined outcome because you have a belief.
Yeah.
Bring it to me. Okay. I already know what I believe. I don't have a predetermined outcome. I know I believe in God.
Okay.
I believe in
Yep.
the Prophet Muhammad,
Yep.
peace be upon
Yep.
him. And I believe that your journey in Christianity is just as valid in my journey in Islam.
Yep.
What you said earlier. You talked about me being better than Muhammad. That's not true.
No, it is.
But no,
It is
but
objectively
I'm gonna
true
tell you
that
right
you
now,
are
I'm
better
going
than
to tell
Muhammad.
you right now, man to man, to your face, is that
It doesn't own a slave.
is that my journey and my faith is better than yours because mine is not predetermined.
Yeah.
Yours is predetermined. I come here
No, you
to
don't
learn.
want this.
You come here to preach to people and talk about how people are bad, about how my prophet is bad.
Your prophet
My
was
prophet
bad.
is-
He was
so you said
objectively
that
bad.
I said that it's your religion is
don't want
just
no
as
one come
valid
say
as
no
mine. But you have said
you
have
saw-
said
if
you
you
have said
saw-
that you should throw out my
You should. You
Quran.
should. Yes, absolutely.
So I just-
And that's fine. You're entitled to
Because-
disagree.
wait,
You're entitled to
because you
disagree.
say that,
You're entitled to
because
disagree.
you say that, and because you have that attitude
Yep.
and that opinion,
Yep.
you've lost all validity to me. I
That
can't.
doesn't matter.
I'm not
But
going
the-
to
I
have
am-
a-
I
I'm
am-
not going to have
so-
a discussion with you based on
If you can't
mutual
do
respect
what Muhammad
with-
permits you to do, then because your conscience is saying that it would be wrong to do so, and I think you're a person of good
I'm
conscience.
not going to have
No,
a
sir.
conversation.
I
Well,
listen.
listen,
I listen.
Can I
I
say
listen.
something, brother?
Listen.
One
So
second,
in
can I say
terms of
something, brother? Can I
no.
speak?
I'm gonna continue the
I'm speaking to you,
conversation.
boss. I'm not-
So the thing
give
is,
me one-
no. So now notice the rudeness.
I know, one
And
second.
notice how.
Have I been rude
to you?
Yes, you are. You're being rude right now because I'm talking to you.
No, you're talking at me and
You're
you're
talking.
pointing
I'm
at
talking.
me.
I'm talking
Do
to
this.
you.
Hang on.
No, hold on one second.
No, you hold on.
second.
You hold on. You
No, hold on
said
one
that-
second.
First of all, you're pointing
Why
at
are
me.
you trying?
Secondly,
Why are you
you're
trying to be intimidating?
Secondly,
Why are you
I'm
trying
not-
to be
Are you intimidating?
Are you trying to
No,
be
I'm not. If
intimidating?
I tried, I'm
Why
not
are you trying to be
intimidating. Don't point at me.
You're trying to be
I am not
intimidating.
trying to be
I'm not intimidating.
for 1 minute.
I'm not trying
So-
to intimidate.
so, as I
you
was saying-
said that I
as
should
I
go
was
with
saying-
my
He begged for 1 minute.
and
I
you
want to
said
You
that my
should.
faith was invalid.
And the reason
Okay.
why you should throw it
And that's
away
why, because you
is
say that,
because
I
your
lose all respect
religion
for you.
denigrates human
Yeah, but he
beings.
begged for 1 minute.
It denigrates your daughter
begged for
compared
1
to your
minute.
son.
You're
It
entitled to that
denigrates
thought.
women according to men.
Speak it anyway.
It denigrates the slave according to the free.
Those are your
It denigrates
opinions.
the Arab to everybody else. It denigrates
Can you allow one
Christians to
second?
the Muslims.
Can you allow one
It
second?
denigrates the
Can you
Jews
get
to
one
the
second?
Muslims,
No,
and it
can you get one
denigrates
second?
pagans compared to
Can you get one
everyone
second?
else.
Pagans are
These-
preferred.
There you go. You've just denigrated humanity.
Yeah, I don't
Thank
agree
you
with
very
that.
much.
Pagans practice shirk. Yeah.
So you
I agree
denigrate
with
them.
that. I don't believe in pagans.
No, I know
If
you don't
put
believe in
somebody-
it, but
if you
would
put
you
somebody-
denigrate them in
Yeah,
law?
if you put somebody-
Yeah, there you go. So there you
put
go.
somebody equal
So
to
he
God,
started
sure.
the conversation. Right, so you would denigrate
You
him.
can't bully him.
Pagans are sick.
He's a Sikh.
tried to
Would
bully
you
every
denigrate
Muslim. It's the first time I
him?
said
Would you
that.
denigrate him in law?
Because he's a
Answer the
Muslim.
question.
You're trying to bully him.
I'll come and debate you in a second.
No.
Would you
no.
denigrate him in law?
You ask him
law-
for-
He is someone that in your religion is considered a pagan. Would you
I
denigrate him in
believe
law?
in law. I believe the law should be secular.
Look at that, it's
In a
nicely.
government,
He
law
believes
should be
law should be
secular.
secular. So he's choosing a Western Christian
nicely.
concept
Look at it nicely.
over an
No one
Islamic
learned
one.
nothing.
So he chucked his own Quran away. You just chucked your own Quran away.
When a Muslim rejects a hadith by saying that's not in the Quran, they are actually pointing to one of the deepest issues in Islamic tradition, the authority of hadith. The Quran may be the central text, but nearly all the details of Islamic practice, 5 daily prayers, the method of ablution, the rules of zakat, the laws of jihad, even the regulations of marriage, are not found in the Quran itself. They come from hadith. Without hadith, the framework of Islamic law would collapse. Yet historically, hadith were never written down during Muhammad's lifetime. Even Muslim scholars acknowledge that the codification of hadith only began 2 to 3 centuries after Muhammad's death. He died in 632 CE, but the famous Sahih collections, like Sahih al-Bukhari, were compiled around the mid-9th century, almost 220 years later. Other compilers, such as Imam Muslim, Abu Dawud, and Tirmidhi, worked in the same period. For generations before that, hadith circulated only through oral tradition. Followers claimed to pass down Muhammad's sayings and actions by word of mouth. It was only when forgeries multiplied, driven by politics, sectarian rivalries, and the struggle for power, that scholars attempted to sift the genuine from the false. Their method, called isnad, the chain of transmission, involved scrutinizing each narrator's reliability. But even so, this process took place centuries after the events, which makes the authenticity of Hadith highly problematic when judged by modern academic standards. Many Muslims today are becoming aware of this. Some groups, such as the Qur'aniyun, reject Hadith altogether, arguing that they are human inventions created long after Muhammad. Even within mainstream Sunni Islam, more and more believers question certain Hadith, despite being labeled Sahih, because to them these texts conflict with the Quran, with reason, or with universal morality. This is why, in debates at places like Speaker's Corner, when opponents cite Sahih Hadith describing Muhammad buying or trading slaves, Muslims often respond, "That's not in the Quran." Such a defense usually arises from discomfort in facing the fact that Islam's own authoritative sources preserve traditions that tarnish Muhammad's image. From an academic perspective, Hadith should be treated as secondary literature. They reflect the beliefs, politics, and historical reconstructions of the Muslim community in the 8th and 9th centuries, not eyewitness testimony from the 7th century. That is why Western scholars such as Patricia Crone, Michael Cook, and Joseph Schacht conclude that Hadith tell us more about the Islam that later developed than about the historical Muhammad himself.